My name is Whitney Marsh. I'm 32 years old, a regional director at a mid-sized tech company. The type of job people assume comes with corner offices and business class flights, but really just means long hours crisis management and being the person everyone blames when corporate makes a bad decision. Still, I built my career myself, piece by piece. No shortcuts, no safety nets. Stability has always been something I earned, not something someone gave me. Maybe that's why what happened cut so deeply. I believed the man I was going to marry respected me. My fiancé was Aaron Mitchell, 29. We'd been together for a little over 2 years, engaged for 6 months, wedding date already chosen, deposits already paid. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were steady, safe, growing in the right direction. Last Tuesday rewired my entire life. We were at his mother's house for our usual weekly dinner. Harmless routine, normal, the kind of tradition couples settle into without noticing. I'd been helping slice bread in the kitchen when I remembered I'd left my spare charger in the car. My phone was still plugged in inside, so I slipped out quietly. The side door to his mother's house never closed properly unless you slammed it, so when I came back in, it didn't creak or warn them I was near. I stepped into the tiny mudroom and froze. I heard voices. His mother sounded worried. "Are you sure about this marriage is a big commitment? And you've seemed distant." Something in her tone made my stomach tighten. Aaron chuckled too casually. "Mom, it's fine. Whitney's stable. She's got the job, the benefits, the savings. We'll be comfortable." Stable, comfortable, as if I were insulation, not a partner. His mother pressed again. "But do you love her?" Silence. My hand tightened around the charger. My heartbeat slowed so much it felt like the world held its breath with me. Finally, he said, "I care about her." A shrug in his voice. Then, with infuriating ease, "But look, if it doesn't work out, my ex is still waiting." My lungs forgot how to function. He kept going. "She texts me every few weeks, says she'd take me back anytime, so I'm covered either way." Covered. Either way. He was talking about building a life with me, like comparing insurance policies. His mother actually laughed. "Smart boy. Always keep your options open." It felt like a blade sliding between my ribs. A slow, precise cut. I stood there, inches from the kitchen doorway, invisible to both of them, listening to the two people who should have cared about us the most treat our engagement like a financial decision, and his ex-girlfriend like an emergency exit. My thoughts scrambled. Lena Shaw. Her name hit me like a slap. I had only heard him mention her twice, always lightly, always dismissively. The 3-year relationship he supposedly outgrew. The clean break. The ended chapter. Except it wasn't ended. He had been texting her. She had been texting him. And Aaron had been keeping her warm, ready, available. And Lena wasn't some stranger. She worked at my company. Not directly under me, but still inside my division. Close enough that I approved her team's budgets and had signed her last performance review summary. Close enough that I had congratulated her 2 months ago on her analytics project without realizing she was planning her career around a man already engaged to someone else. My throat tightened so hard I had to press a hand against the wall just to stay steady. Aaron went on chatting with his mother like nothing meant anything. Like he hadn't just revealed that he saw our future as some kind of risk management plan. I backed away one step at a time, careful not to make noise. Then I walked out into the yard, not feeling the cold, not feeling anything except a violent numbness crawling up my spine. When I reached my car, I sat in the driver's seat and stared at the steering wheel. Minutes passed without shape. Time dissolved. I don't remember breathing. I remember trying. The truth had landed with brutal clarity. He didn't choose me. He calculated me. And I had been building a life with a man who saw love as a stability metric. I stayed there in that parked car, heart pounding painfully, a single thought forming in the quiet, sharp, and steady as a blade. Something had to change, and it wasn't going to be me. By the time I got home that night, the numbness had settled into something colder, something sharper. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't confront him when he kissed my cheek and said he had a headache from his mom's cooking. I just watched him walk into the bathroom, humming, completely unaware that the ground beneath him was already cracking. I slept maybe 2 hours. My mind kept circling the same thought. He saw me as stability, as comfort, as a plan. With a ready-made plan. And then there was Lena, his sweet, soft-spoken ex-girlfriend who had looked at me during the last company event with polite friendliness, not knowing she had a secret role in the life I was planning. By morning, the emotional shock had burned off, leaving only clarity. I showered, dressed, grabbed my coffee, and left before Aaron even woke up. I didn't want to look at him. I didn't trust what I might say. I needed distance. I needed the sterile reliability of my office, the harsh overhead lights, the familiar hum of my computer. I needed to think. When I walked into the office at 7:12 a.m., the building felt like a sanctuary. Empty hallways, quiet elevators, my domain, decision-making territory. Somewhere where I held the pen, not him. I unlocked my office, closed the door, and sat down. The first thing I opened was our internal portal, specifically the relocation and international transfer listings. 3 positions were still unfilled, all part of our global expansion initiative. Berlin, Singapore, Australia. Highly competitive roles. Career-changing. Life-changing. And one of them was perfect for someone with Lena's level of analytics experience. I clicked the Berlin listing. Senior Data Analyst. 25% salary increase. 3-year contract minimum. Full relocation package, housing allowance, visa sponsorship. A legitimate opportunity. A powerful one. The kind of job people wait years for. I stared at the screen. Aaron had kept her as a backup. I didn't have to confront him to take that away. I only had to offer her something better. My finger hovered over the phone icon just for a second. Then I clicked. Hi, could you ask Lena Shaw to come to my office for a moment? Tell her it's regarding expansion reviews. 10 minutes later, she walked in. Calm, professional, not knowing anything. Her hair was pulled back neatly. She sat down with the polite caution people always use when speaking to upper management. Good morning, she said. I smiled gently. Relax. You're not in trouble. Her shoulders softened. I explained the company's international needs, the Berlin opportunity, her strong performance reviews. Everything strictly business, strictly professional. Everything she deserved to know. Her eyes widened halfway through. Berlin. As in Germany. Yes, that's... Wow. She blinked quickly, overwhelmed. I don't even know what to say. It's a big opportunity, I said, folding my hands. You don't have to answer now. Think about it. But I'll need your decision by Friday so HR can begin the paperwork. She nodded, stunned, grateful, excited. The exact response anyone would have to an unexpected promotion that could alter the course of their life. She left my office beaming, and I sat back, a quiet, controlled exhale slipping through my lips. That was the moment the emotional wound inside me shifted, not healed, but transformed. He had made me plan B. I wasn't going to be anyone's anything. Not anyone's stable safety net, not anyone's comfortable option, not anyone's fallback. I wasn't destroying him. I was removing the cushion he assumed would always be waiting. That afternoon, I received Lena's email. I'm accepting the Berlin offer. Just like that, signed, final. HR started the visa process immediately. When I drove home that evening, the sky was turning orange, and the warmth of it contrasted the cold, precise clarity inside me. Aaron had texted earlier asking about dinner. I told him I'd pick something up. We didn't talk much while eating, but he didn't notice the distance. He rarely noticed anything unless it directly affected him. But I noticed everything. The way he didn't reach for my hand, the way he kept glancing at his phone, the way his face lit up once too quickly before he hit it. Probably a message from her. He still thought she was an option. That was almost funny. I waited until after the plates were cleared, until he was relaxed, until the room felt deceptively calm. We need to talk, I said. His fork clattered against his plate. That look crossed his face, half annoyance, half anxiety. He hated emotional conversations, hated being uncomfortable. What now, he said with a sigh. I'm calling off the wedding. He froze. What? Where the hell is that coming from? I leaned back steady. Last Tuesday. At your mom's house. I heard everything. The blood drained from his face. No, Whitney, wait. You said I was stable, comfortable. You said you cared about me. Not loved. Cared. My voice didn't shake. It was terrifyingly calm. And you said your ex would take you back in a heartbeat, that if it didn't work out with me, you were covered. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? I asked softly. He opened and closed his mouth like he was drowning for words. So I delivered the final blow. And by the way, your ex Lena, she won't be waiting anymore. Confusion flickered. I continued. She accepted a 3-year contract in Berlin. She leaves in 6 weeks. He looked like I had slapped him. You did something. You manipulated something. This is... Whitney, what the hell did you do? I offered a qualified employee a legitimate promotion, I said. Professionally. Ethically. She accepted. You knew she'd be gone. His voice cracked. You sabotaged my relationship. I stared at him. What relationship? The one you kept as a backup while planning a future with me. He grabbed his hair in both hands, panicking. You can't end this. Not over one conversation. Then what would it take, I asked. How many backup plans do you need before I count as your real choice? He didn't have an answer. The silence between us was the loudest sound I had ever heard. I stood up, grabbed my keys. I'll move my things this weekend. The engagement is over. Outside, under the dim parking lot lights, he chased after me. Begged. Pleaded. Tried logic tears. Guilt, anger. All of it blurred together into meaningless noise. I got in my car, shut the door, and watched him through the window as he pounded once on the hood, desperate. Then I drove away. I didn't look back. The morning after I left him in that parking lot, there was a strange kind of quiet in my apartment. The kind that settles after a storm, but before the destruction is fully measured. I woke up on a friend's couch, my neck aching, my mind pounding, but clarity still sharp enough to slice through the leftover fog of everything that had happened. Aaron had texted 12 times. Called 4. I didn't open a single one. When I pulled into my apartment's parking garage, my stomach tightened. I wasn't sure if he'd be waiting there, hoping, demanding, negotiating. Instead, the space was empty. Maybe he finally understood that this wasn't a conversation. It was the end. I walked upstairs with the efficiency of someone who had made up her mind long before her heart caught up. I changed the locks within an hour. It wasn't pettiness. It was practicality. He hadn't paid a cent of rent in 18 months. He wasn't on the lease. And the idea of him walking in while I was gone made my skin crawl. I drafted a notice to vacate for him anyway. A courtesy, my lawyer friend said. I didn't owe him that, but I wanted everything by the book. I wasn't going to give him ammunition. Or excuses. By noon, the text changed tone. First, we need to talk, please. Then you blindsided me. I deserve an explanation. Then, you're overreacting. Couples fight. This is normal. Then the guilt tripping, you're ruining our lives over something small. Then the venom, you're insane. You need help. I blocked him. 2 hours later, a new number called. His mother. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail dripping with indignation. Whitney, you are destroying my son's life because you misunderstood something. You need to call me back immediately. You owe us that. I didn't owe them anything. The escalation began that afternoon. My building's front desk called to tell me Aaron's mother had shown up, demanding to be let upstairs. When they refused, she stood in the lobby for 10 minutes, ranting about immature modern women with too much career and not enough heart. Security eventually escorted her out. She left a handwritten letter folded at the desk. You need to find maturity and compassion. A relationship is not a business transaction. My son made a mistake. You're throwing away a marriage. Fix this before it's too late. The irony nearly made me laugh. A relationship wasn't a business transaction, yet Aaron had treated it like one. That night, I received a text from one of Aaron's bridesmaids, someone I had always liked. Hey, I heard what happened. I'm really sorry. But Aaron says you've been trying to isolate him for months, that you were jealous of his friendship with Lena and made him cut people off. I stared at the message. My chest tightened. Not because of what she wrote, but because of how predictable it was. He was already rewriting the story, I replied. Did he tell you they'd been texting regularly and that he told his mom if things didn't work out with me, she was waiting? A pause. Then, no. He said they barely talked. I typed slowly, deliberately. I heard the entire conversation, word for word. He said he was covered either way. Another pause. Holy shit. And then the wall finally cracked on their side. He lied to us, she wrote. All of us. 5 minutes later, she added, the bridesmaids group chat is chaos. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. People could believe whatever they wanted. I would not defend myself in a trial I didn't volunteer for. But the universe had a twisted sense of timing, because while the bridesmaids were arguing, while Aaron was panicking, while his mother was scribbling letters filled with righteous fury, Lena posted on LinkedIn, a smiling photo with the caption, thrilled to announce my new role in our Berlin office, excited for this next chapter. Likes poured in. Congratulations. Comments about big moves and amazing opportunities. Aaron must have seen it because 10 minutes later my phone buzzed from a new number. His. He didn't bother with greetings. You need to call HR. Tell them to cancel the transfer. This is fucked. I typed back. She signed a contract. It's final. His reply came instantly. You manipulated her. You used your position to punish her. I almost laughed. I offered a qualified employee a major promotion. She accepted it enthusiastically. That's not manipulation. Bullshit. This is revenge. Revenge would require me to feel something for you. I don't. Silence. Long enough that I thought he'd finally gone quiet. Then I'm filing a complaint. This is abuse of power. I didn't answer. But I wasn't surprised when HR emailed me the next day. We received an anonymous report regarding potential misconduct. Please come in at 2 p.m. today. Anonymous, of course. I walked into the HR conference room, prepared for a formal process, calm, professional, detailed. I laid out the timeline. Documents, emails, transfer listings, application deadlines, performance reviews, everything in chronological order. Then HR spoke with Lena. She told them the truth, the full truth, that she had been thrilled, that she felt supported, that nothing about my offer was coercive or inappropriate, that she didn't even know about my personal life. The complaint was dismissed within 24 hours. But the HR manager wasn't done. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. If another false complaint is filed, we will take action. This behavior is disruptive. I nodded. I didn't need her to specify who we referred to. Aaron had wanted consequences. He was about to receive them. That evening, someone rang my apartment intercom for 15 straight minutes. When I checked the camera feed, I saw Aaron and his mother standing outside the building doors. Security wouldn't let them in. She was waving her arms dramatically. He was pacing, running his hands through his hair like a man trapped between humiliation and desperation. I watched silently until they left. When I went back to my living room, I saw another Venmo notification. A request from Aaron for $8,400. The memo said, "Wedding cost you caused." I declined it. Then sent my own request. $3,600, rent. You never paid for 18 months. His reply was immediate. Are you serious? Finally, the truth slipped out of me like ice. You started it. It was only the beginning. The final 10 days of Aaron living in my apartment passed like waiting for a storm to hit you. Don't know when the lightning will strike, only that it will. He didn't come by again after the night he and his mother were escorted away by building security. Maybe humiliation steadied him for a moment. Maybe he realized that screaming outside a locked building didn't change anything. But I knew him well enough to expect something. Men who rely on backup plans don't walk away quietly. They scramble, they grab, they claw for whatever scraps of control they can still reach. He sent a single text 3 days before move-out day. I'll get my stuff Saturday. No apology, no acknowledgement, no emotion, just a timestamp like scheduling a haircut. I didn't answer. Saturday arrived. At 11:59 p.m., literally 1 minute before the deadline, he showed up with a U-Haul, his mother, and his sister. I watched from my living room window as they loaded boxes hurriedly, angrily, like the furniture had insulted them personally. Not a single knock on my door, not a single word, not a single look back. It was almost comical how cleanly they left the perfect metaphor for the way Aaron treated relationships. He didn't pack with sorrow. He packed with entitlement, like he was the one being wronged. I went to sleep in silence, the apartment finally mine again. But the peace didn't last long. 2 days after he moved out, HR called me again. Whitney, we need to meet. Another anonymous complaint came in. Of course, there was another one. This one tried to frame me as having orchestrated a personal vendetta against an employee against Lena for romantic reasons. The wording was messy, desperate, and almost laughable. HR met with me. Legal came in this time too. I repeated the timeline. Again. They reviewed the documents. Again. They interviewed Lena. Again. She confirmed for the second time everything was professional, above board, and beneficial for her career. And then HR said something that surprised me. We spoke to the employee you transferred. She had nothing but praise for your professionalism and has no complaints. She also mentioned she was unaware of any personal connection to you. Then the HR director leaned forward, her tone firmer than last time. We will document this as harassment if further complaints continue. Harassment, a warning, and they weren't giving it to me. They were sending it straight to Aaron through the silence. I didn't hear from him that day, but he managed to find another angle by nightfall. He started calling my actual friends, the ones he had met at birthdays, dinners, game nights, the people who knew me long before he did. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages. Why is Aaron calling me? He's crying. What is happening? He said you ruined his career. He said you sabotaged him. He wants us to talk to you. I told them the short version. That I'd overheard him treating me like an insurance policy, that he'd been texting his ex, that he'd admitted she was his fallback, that I ended the engagement, that he filed false HR complaints. Every single one of them said some version of, "Holy shit, I'm sorry, I had no idea he was like that." And then, "We won't take his calls." The circle around him shrank. But his mother wasn't finished. She called my mother. It took less than an hour for my phone to ring, with Mom's name on the screen. "Whitney," she said, "I got an interesting call today." I sighed. "Let me guess. She says you're being vindictive, that you transferred her son's ex out of spite, that you're ruining her daughter-in-law's future." I sat down on my bed. He told his mom he was keeping his ex as a backup. I heard it with my own ears. A pause, a long one. "Are you serious?" my mother asked quietly. "Dead serious. He was marrying me for stability. She was his safety net." My mother didn't gasp, didn't scold, didn't soften anything. She just exhaled slowly. "So what did you do?" "I offered the ex a promotion in Germany. She took it. Then I ended the engagement." There was silence, then a tone so solid and proud it nearly broke me. "Good," she said. "Good," she repeated. "I raised you to choose yourself, not someone who treats you like a retirement plan." "Do you want me to call his mother back?" I asked. "No," she said. "She'll figure it out. People like her always do." My mother has never been dramatic, but she has always been a force. That call grounded me. That call told me I hadn't lost my mind, I had regained it. Meanwhile, Lena had already moved to Berlin. Her social media was filled with photos, her new apartment, her office, the river, the team she'd be leading. She looked genuinely happy, free, excited, unburdened. A life moving forward. Aaron must have seen the photos too, because that evening he tried one last tactic, the devastated ex-fiancé routine. He texted from another new number. "She's really gone. You actually did this." "Yes. I hate you." "Okay. I was going to marry you. We had a whole life planned." "You had a plan for a stable life. There's a difference. You didn't have to ruin everything." I removed myself from a situation where I was the backup to your backup. He didn't respond for hours. Then, I didn't mean it. I was just scared. I stared at the message for a long time. Fear wasn't the problem. Cowardice was. I blocked that number too. The drama should have ended there. But the universe wasn't done showing me who he really was. 3 days later, I received a message from someone unexpected, his cousin, one of the few relatives of his I genuinely liked. "I think you should see this," she wrote. Attached was a screenshot from a group chat. Aaron's name at the top of a message. "She's so stupid. I almost had her locked down. The ex thing was just insurance. I wasn't actually going to leave. Now I'm stuck starting over at 29. This is bullshit." The cousin added, "He's not the person you thought he was. I'm sorry." I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt confirmation. He had never loved me. He loved the stability I represented, the ready-made future, the benefits package, the comfort, the easy life. I closed my phone softly and placed it face down on the table. For the first time since everything happened, I breathed without a single weight pressing down on my ribs. The truth wasn't painful anymore. It was liberating. The 2 months after everything blew up felt strangely quiet, like the world had hit a reset button without telling me. No more late-night arguments. No more tightness in my chest when Aaron's name popped up on my phone. No more pretending everything was fine when I already felt the ground slipping beneath us. The silence was the first real peace I'd had in a long time. The apartment looked different now. I'd started redecorating almost obsessively, not out of spite, but because reclaiming the space felt like reclaiming parts of myself I'd put on pause for him. I bought a new couch, softer and wider than the one we'd shared. I changed the art on the walls. I rearranged the living room so the memories had nowhere to sit comfortably anymore. It wasn't a breakup purge. It was a reset, a rebuilding. One evening, while I was putting together a new bookshelf, my phone buzzed with a familiar, uneasy vibration. A name pinged my screen, unknown number, but unmistakably him. "I know you're home. We need to talk." I stared at the text for a long moment, then checked the Ring camera feed. And there he was standing outside my apartment door at 10 p.m., his hands shoved into his jacket pockets, shoulders hunched, like he expected sympathy to spill out through the peephole. I didn't answer the door. I didn't respond to the text. I watched him knock a few times, then lean his head back as if trying to summon tears. When that didn't work, he paced. When pacing didn't work, he stood motionless. After 20 minutes, he finally left. The next morning, I woke up to another text. "You're really going to throw away 2 years over something I said to my mom." My fingers moved without hesitation. "I'm throwing away 2 years because you were settling for me while keeping your ex warm as a backup. That's not a relationship. That's a business arrangement." He didn't answer, not right away. Then a final message. "I did love you." I typed back. "You love the stability. There's a difference." Then I blocked the number. And that was the last time I heard from him. Aaron's ex, former fallback, was thriving in Berlin. Every now and then, I'd see her updates online by accident. Bright photos, team outings, a new apartment, her life expanding. I didn't resent her. I didn't blame her. In a strange way, I was genuinely glad she got something she deserved, a life built for her, not as someone's second option. Meanwhile, according to whispers through people who couldn't resist gossip, Aaron had moved back in with his mother. His dating life floundered. He complained on apps that women weren't serious enough, that no one wanted commitment. The irony was so sharp it almost tasted like metal. He had wanted stability. He wanted comfort. He wanted safety nets. But those things don't come with entitlement. They come with choosing someone fully. And he had never chosen me. Or anyone. Just convenience. With the money I would have spent on the wedding, the catering deposit alone was enough to make me wince. I bought myself something I'd always wanted, but always postponed. A new car. Nothing extravagant. Not the flashy kind that screams midlife crisis, but a sleek, quiet, reliable car with seats that hugged you when you sat down, and a sound system that made every drive feel like a moment. It felt like a small rebellion, a kind of joy that didn't depend on anyone's approval. Every time I slid behind the wheel, I felt something release, something uncoil, like I'd shifted gears in more ways than one. I started going out more. Not dates, I wasn't ready for that, but simple things. Trivia nights at a bar downtown. Coffee runs where I didn't rush. Walks after work when the sunset softened the city. I let myself breathe again in ways I hadn't realized I'd stopped doing. At trivia, I started meeting people. Regulars. Groups who recognized me after a few weeks. One night a guy introduced himself Mark, and we ended up on the same team after his friends bailed last minute. He was easy to talk to, warm in the way Aaron never managed. No pressure, no flirting, just conversation that felt good, simple, human. We talked about books, movies, careers, mistakes. He didn't glance at his phone once. He didn't talk about exes. He wasn't measuring me. He was just there, present, answering trivia questions about obscure 90s bands with too much confidence. When he walked me to my car afterward, he didn't ask for my number. He didn't hint at anything. He just smiled and said, "Hope I see you next week." And I found myself hoping he would too. Not because I needed someone, but because it felt good to want something without fear attached to it. Life at work settled. The Berlin transfer became one of the success stories in our internal quarterly review. My boss praised the quick turnaround. There was talk of a promotion for me next quarter. A bigger team, more influence, more room to build something meaningful. Everything that Aaron and his mother once accused me of being too career-focused, lacking heart-needing compassion, had never been flaws. They were strengths, things that carried me through the collapse and back into a life I actually recognized. One afternoon, while I sat in a cafe reading emails, a tap on my shoulder startled me. I turned around to see one of Aaron's former friends, someone I'd always found kind and level-headed. "Hey," she said softly, "I just wanted to say, we all know the truth now, about everything. I'm sorry we didn't see it sooner." I smiled gently, not bitterly. "It's okay. It wasn't your job to see it." She nodded. "For what it's worth, he's been telling people you were the love of his life, and he messed it up." "He didn't mess up love," I said, stirring my coffee. "He messed up a good situation." Her eyebrows rose. "That's a very accurate way to put it." We talked for a few minutes. When she left, I felt no sting, no ache, just a calm understanding of everything that had unfolded. I almost married a man who didn't love me, not really. He loved the easy life that came with me. He loved the idea of stability, not the work of partnership. He kept one foot out the door. He called his ex his insurance. And he told his mother he was covered either way. Covered either way. I believed him. Not in the lies he told me. In the truth he revealed when he thought I wasn't listening. And I made my choices accordingly. Some people said what I did was cold. Others said it was brilliant. A few called it cruel. I don't care about any of that now. It wasn't cold, it was clear. It wasn't cruel, it was necessary. I didn't ruin his life. I removed myself from a situation where I was being used. I didn't send his ex to Germany to punish him. I offered her an opportunity she earned. What he lost wasn't a fiancé. It was a shortcut. What I gained wasn't revenge. It was freedom. A clean slate, a quieter heart, a life with space for something real. I sleep well now. Better than well. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not anyone's stability. I am my own.